Hi guys, welcome to my new Arsenal podcast. For this first episode, I'm going to be talking about some of the latest transfer rumours. To start with, we'll talk about some of the incomings, or potential incomings. Some of them I'm perfectly happy with, others not quite so much. The most certain signing at the moment looks to be Declan Rice, although it's far from done yet. I personally think he'll be an excellent signing, having watched him a number of times closely towards the end of the season, playing for West Ham. Looking at him, I think Arteta would use him in the Xhaka role. With greater mobility, he'll add a lot to us defensively and offensively, and I can actually see him scoring a number of goals, perhaps even getting into double figures. Xhaka did an excellent job for us in that position last season. However, I think with Rice's mobility and strength, I think he'd be an excellent acquisition for us. In much the same way, I think Moises Caicedo would also be a brilliant signing, and he would help us defensively and offensively as well. However, there is one rumour I've found a little bit strange. I saw us being linked with him a couple of weeks ago, but the rumours seem to have strengthened a little bit today, and that's Castagna from Leicester. He can play at right back and left back, which is something that Arteta seems to value. Before we were linked with Cancelo from Man City, who's been out on loan at Bayern Munich, but that seems to have moved on to Castagna now, and that's a rumour I find quite hard to stomach, really. This is not just snobbery on my part, because Leicester have gone down. You can definitely pick up really good players from teams that are relegated. Maddison's a prime example, Ward-Prowse. There are a few others as well. But I saw quite a bit of Leicester last season, and Castagna, along with most of the rest of the defence, was pretty terrible. And I'd find that a really strange signing, really, and completely at odds with what the club's done in the transfer market over the last few years. On a more positive note, a lot of the focus at the moment is on contract extensions. Obviously, we've had Saka recently, Ramsdale. There's talk of Odegaard signing soon. But the really good news is the impending renewal of his contract by William Saliba. He is a Rolls Royce of a centre back, and without hyping him up too much, you feel as though he's a generational talent in terms of centre backs. He'd been linked a little bit with Real Madrid and one or two others, so to get him tied down is good news. Being slightly picky, I've heard that it might be a 4-year contract. In an ideal world, you'd like that to at least be 4-year with an option to extend, or ideally 5 years with an option to extend, because we need to keep on to this lad for as long as we possibly can, because he is top draw. In terms of outgoings, I've not heard too much yet. There is some speculation that West Ham are interested in Emil Smith-Rowe as part of a potential Declan Rice deal. I'll be sorry to see Smith-Rowe go, as I think he's still got a lot to offer Arsenal. You do wonder what will happen with Fabio Vieira. He had a mixed bag last season. You could see his talent in certain games. Wolves away in the second half was probably, I think it was the second half. He played really well in one half of that game anyway. Was where you could see what he offers, but really for the most part he didn't look strong enough, and he didn't affect games anywhere near like enough. So you wonder what will happen with him. Obviously, you'd like to see the back of Rob Holding, with all due respect. He's been at the club too long, and we will need a centre back to back up William Saliba, or possibly another right back, and Ben White could possibly fill in behind Saliba. That would be another option. I'm not sure what will happen with Mohamed El Neni. Obviously, he signed another year-long deal, so he'll probably stay. But he's another one that's been at the club too long. Another interesting one, and this will be my final point on this podcast, is it will be interesting to see what happens with Florian Balogun. He's done obviously very well in France, and there is rumours of a lot of interest in him. I've seen RB Leipzig, AC Milan, a few other teams showing an interest as well. Possibly, again, even possibly to West Ham. But I personally would love to see him in pre-season and seeing how he gets on in this Arsenal setup, because quite frankly, I'm not convinced by Eddie Nketiah. I don't think he offers anywhere near enough. And to be quite frank with you, I think we need another striker, irregardless of the Nketiah Balogun situation. Gabriel Jesus, whilst I think he offers the team a lot, he misses far too many chances. And I would like a proven natural goal scorer, because that would elevate the team to another level. I'm not sure we'll sign a striker. We might sign a right winger to compete with Saka, but I would love another top centre forward. So the front three options would be Jesus, another striker, and either Balogun or Nketiah. However, I don't think we'll get that, and I think probably we will end up selling Balogun. But it would be nice to at least see him in pre-season. But in terms of that, we'll see how it gets on. I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this first podcast. I'm going to try and do them quite regularly, and then hopefully I can grow this YouTube channel. When the season starts or pre-season starts, I might do watch-alongs or something, but it depends on how the channel's growing by then. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on Arsenal. Part of the reason why I've decided to do this podcast actually is because I actually spend a lot of my time YouTubing on history. So actually, I thought I'd just do something a little bit more relaxed and talk about one of my other passions, which is obviously Arsenal. You might also find that at some points on this podcast, I might talk about cricket as well. With the Ashes coming up, there's going to be a lot of time to talk about that. So I think I'll maybe share my thoughts on that as well. But once again, thanks for listening, and keep an eye out on this channel, and do hit subscribe if you like my thoughts.